So today we're going to be looking at iAbacus. It is a software tool, and often software gets way too complicated and it can often get in the way of the job. Whereas hopefully what you'll see today with iAbacus is it really just streamlines self-evaluation and improvement planning. And I'm always aware that when I say self-evaluation and improvement planning, it can be a part of the job that we shuffle down the to-do list. Something we know that's important, but we can just minimize it because there are other priorities. Now, hopefully, when you see iAbacus, it is going to be motivating. It's going to be something that empowers you to look at your subject areas, evaluate things, how's it going, and then plan improvements. The beauty of iAbacus is it's based on a model. It's been around for about 50 years. It's kind of hard to believe, but a good friend of mine was using a wooden abacus in schools to help people evaluate and improve. And that's what this software is based on. So I've created myself a fictional account for your school. I'm going to log into it and I'm going to create a subject self-evaluation and action plan. And what's interesting, I'm going to base it on the Ofsted Framework, the new Ofsted Toolkit. So what we've actually done is taken this toolkit, which is basically just a set of criteria. It's just a set of descriptors that describe effectiveness at various levels. And it is originally designed for whole school provision. But when you look at it through the lens of a subject leader, it applies perfectly. So it made sense to take this school criteria and to tweak it slightly so that it applies to your subject area. And that's the criteria that we're going to use inside the abacus. So let me share my screen and we'll log in. I'm just going to go into my browser. It's a web-based tool. At the end of the session, I'll show you how to create your account and the license code, which is the bit that you need to get your account started. But I've already done that process for myself. So hopefully now you're seeing my screen. I've logged in. We talk about abacuses. An abacus is an evaluation and an action plan. So when you first log in, the idea is that you start your first abacus and you can either click here or you've always got this icon at the top here, new abacus. Now, when you start a new abacus, you're able to choose from this huge list of templates. Because abacuses are completely universal and you can use them to evaluate and improve anything, we've got a whole range of templates. But because we've managed to create this specific template for your school, what we've done is put it to the top of the list. So feel free to browse and have a look at the others. They might cross over into an area of responsibility that you have in the school. But the template that you'll need for your subject leadership role is right at the top here. And you'll see it's a new template, Ofsted Toolkit for subject leaders. And when you choose it, it will pre-fill a title and description, and it just makes sense to put your subject name at the top here. So where you see that, you can replace that and you can say, okay, we are the English or maths or science or geography department, whatever it may be. So let me just put in here science, and then you just click continue. Now, when you use the tool for the very first time, you're going to get these little pop-up videos that pop up. Okay, I'll show you what happened. Is a little video will come up. It's John, my great friend, who came up with the abacus model. He's going to pop up and they're only like a minute long. So please try and watch them. Maybe it's not applicable if you've got a classroom in this, that there is sound on these videos, but you can watch them, maybe watch them later. He's basically going to repeat what I say, but in John's style. So feel free to watch those. So this is an abacus. How do we use it? Well, basically, you've got to slide the abacus beads, and you'll see on the left-hand side, you've got this plus here. Well, if you click on that and drag it, you'll see that it comes into a bead. And what we're asking you to do to start with is use your professional judgment just to evaluate where you feel your subject area is. And if you look across the top, you'll see that you've actually got the Ofsted language, needs attention, expected standard, strong, exceptional. Now we know that this is your initial gut judgment, okay, your professional judgment, and that's great. We want you just to instinctively put that bead somewhere. You might think, actually, inclusion in my subject area is really strong, maybe like top end of strong. That's great. Put the bead just there. Okay. Now, when you drop an abacus bead, it will start you in the abacus process. Okay. Let's just run through it. That judgment we've just made we're going to check that against criteria. We're actually going to check it against the Ofsted Toolkit. Because we've made a judgment, we need to be able to support that judgment with evidence. And that's the next stage. What can we signpost as far as evidence goes? Let's analyse the situation. Why are we at this point? How come we've managed to put the bead here? Why have we been able to do that? And that's our analysis. And if we know why we're at that point or what's holding us back, we can do something about it in the action planning. So this is the logical process behind every bead. Check it against criteria. Add some evidence to support your judgment. Analyse why you're at that point and what you're going to do about it. So let's go through the process. So you can see that we've moved this bead for inclusion. Let's dive into the criteria. Now this is the Ofsted Toolkit. And you'll see you've got these columns. We've put the bead in strong. It could be that if I look in the strong column, it might be actually there are a few things we're not doing. Maybe we're more just in expected, or even maybe needs attention. And you can move this bead on this row depending on where you feel your subject's at. Don't worry if it's down this lower end, if you like, because the abacus is going to help you diagnose why you're at that point and what you need to do to move the bead in the right direction. And that's what it's all about. It's about an honest appraisal of where you're at and how you can move forward. So the first stage, checking your judgment against criteria. That's fairly straightforward, isn't it? If you want to have a look at the Ofsted Toolkit, you can just open it up. Find it just here. If I scroll to the top, you'll see it's the official state-funded school inspection toolkit. But there's no real need to do that because we've put it just here for you anyway. So we're happy with the judgment. Let's move on to the next stage, evidence. Now, in the evidence section, this is where you've really got to start to think about what you can signpost to justify that judgment. So if we've been confident enough to put the bead into the expected standard line here, or this row, this column, sorry, what are the things that we might be able to signpost in our subject area? So have a read through it. And then in the evidence box here, this is where you can start to describe the things that take place in your subject area. If you want to have a look at the toolkit, you can do. You can jump off here and have a look at the toolkit. But all you'll do is describe your evidence. And some advice here, be concise. Okay, be really evaluative. In our subject, we do this, and here's some PDF of that, or here's a report, or here's some parental feedback, or here's a survey results that we've got. Here's an example of a lesson plan. Okay, now I'm just going to hopefully get a little tool just to type some evidence in here. It's not going to be accurate, this evidence, but it's just some words to show you what you would write into here. Okay, now if you've got an Excel spreadsheet or a PDF or some other document that you want to include, try and link to it. If it's in Microsoft or Google Drive or Dropbox, what you can do, you can actually just put the link to that folder or to that file in that box on the right hand side down here. Okay, it saves you moving the files around. It saves you trying to copy and paste them into this box. Okay? Leave this really clear, really concise. Bullet points really help. Really short, snappy statements. If you have got a file that you mention, and you might even say, see our 2025 winter survey, something you've just done. What you can even do is you can select that text and you can link it off to that survey document, wherever that might be. It might be in Microsoft, it might be in a specific folder. And if you look there, I've just linked that file to that folder or to that file. Evidence. Yes, it can really force you to think about kind of what you've got to justify your judgment, but it's not the be all and end all of the process. It's just saying, this is where we are. This is how we know. Let's move on now in the process. And this is where I think it gets quite interesting. We move from justifying where we're at into the analysis. Now, analysis sounds really formal. It actually sounds way more complicated than it is. Let's have a look at it. In the analysis, all we think about are the things that have helped us so far, the helping factors. What's pushed the bead in the right direction, but also what's hindering. What factors are stopping your department, your subject area, being more effective in this thing we're looking at, inclusion? Because when you put that bead on an abacus, you want to slide it up here, but sometimes things stop you. There are going to be barriers, policies, practices, lack of resources, whatever it may be, that stop you moving it further to the right. In the analysis, that's where you describe them. So on this left-hand side, just describe anything that's going really well, things that have helped, things that have got you to this position. And all you do is type them in. Okay, they're like bullet points, really short, snappy statements, use really positive language, much improved, substantial increase. If something's been a really big help in your subject area, put it in and then move it to the top and say, actually, this is something that's gone really well. Now, on the other side, pushing in the other direction, that's where you've got your hindering factors. And whereas on the left, you put like really positive language, be brave, say lack of this, insufficient this, inadequate this. Actually, let's put some in. Okay, let's put some hindering factors in. And again, you can prioritize them, you can move them around. If something was an urgent kind of high impact issue in your subject area that was holding you back, put it in. Oh dear, that's not really good. Let's just put some dots in there and let's move that to the top of the list. Okay, and move this one down, move this one down. Okay, so you can see you can prioritize them. What's helping, what's hindering. If you know what's helping, you can strengthen those things. And if you know what's hindering, you can plan to tackle them. And that's why in the action planning, we kind of jumpstart this, because it's going to put in the things that you've already described. Here are the helping factors. Here are the hindering factors. The idea is that you pick one of these, you expand it, and you say, right, what are we going to do about it? Okay, we know it's an issue. We've acknowledged it's holding us back. How can we overcome it? Because if we don't overcome it, you'll log back into your abacus in a few months' time, maybe even a few weeks' time, and you'll look at that bead and you won't be able to move it. It'll be stuck in that position. So what can we do to get rid of this hindering factor? And we put in an action. Okay, what are you going to do? Who's going to support you on that? Is it an SLT member that's going to work with you? Is it a colleague within your subject area? Who's going to help you with that? What will success look like? Okay, how will you know when this action that you're describing has an impact? So that's your success criteria. Obviously, you've got a deadline or a frequency. Do you need to do this once a term, once a year? Let's put a quick deadline in here. Okay, if you've already started this action, you may be able to just move this progress slider and say, actually, we've started this. In our subject, we've already started looking for this training, or we've started resourcing this. So let's put some progress in here. So all I did was pick off one of these helps and hinders and put an action in place. Okay, now let's be realistic. You can't work on all of these things. If you've done a really good diagnostic in this analysis part here and come up with quite a few things, which is the best way to do it, come up with all the things that help and hinder, in your action planning, you're not going to be able to work on all of them. Some of them, they might be out of your control. Okay, they're not in your circle of influence. You can't change them. So what you can do on this right hand side, you see this little hide icon. What you can do is you can just hide them. They're still in this analysis here. We're still aware of them, but they're not in the action plan. So I'm going to go through here and take out lots of these because they're not part of my priority action plan. As a subject leader, you've got loads going off, but there are going to be certain things that you can pick off here and say, right, that's the thing that we're going to work on within our subject area. So let me take a few of these out. You'll see that it's grayed them out and put them here. I can bring them back, just toggle them on and off really. Okay, and that's the process. Let's just recap. Slide a bead, whichever area it is, curriculum and teaching, achievement, put it to where you feel you're at, and then follow the process, the same process. Okay, now if you do that for each of these beads, it's going to give you that snapshot. It's going to give you that evaluation and an action plan. First thing you can do with it is download it as a PDF document, okay? Because yes, it's tucked away in iAbacus and it's kind of a live thing that you can log in and you can update. But at some point, what you might want to do is just download that as a PDF document. And there it is, a nice A4 document. It's got the beads on. If I open up the bead by clicking on it, it just scrolls down to the relevant page. In here, we've got our evidence, any files that we've highlighted. It's got the helping and hindering factors, the analysis, really important. And then, of course, the action plan. And this is our really clear, concise evaluation and action plan. If I scroll back to the top, you'll see there are the other beads. So that's one way to share your abacus, is to download it as a PDF. Print it if you want to, put it in your, I don't suppose you have like real folders now, but I have heard in the past schools have like subject folders. If that's the case, you can print it and put it in there, or you can just download it and have it as something that you can share later. Now, one thing that you will be probably expected to do is to share this with senior colleagues in the school, okay? Because this is your abacus, and let's just get this straight, no one can see it until you share it. There is no member of staff watching you self-evaluate. Nobody sees your abacus until you share it, either as the PDF or go up to collaborate here, click on collaborate, and then invite someone to your abacus. So probably your head teacher, probably your senior colleagues. Okay. Now, when you invite someone to an abacus, you can choose what kind of access you're going to give them. They might just be a viewer. They're just going to look at it with you. That's great. You might actually want them to contribute to it. You might invite them and say, this is our subject area. You might have a senior colleague in your subject that you work with. You might job share. You slide a bead where you think we are, and they can actually slide a bead on your abacus. You might even invite them as an editor, give them full access to it. So think about that when you invite someone, what kind of privileges you want to give them. But it's simple and straightforward. All you do is click collaborate, you put their email address in here, and they get invited to your abacus. So let's have a look. We've pretty much been through everything there is to do. It's all about sliding those beads, working through the process, okay, and then coming up with your actions to drive improvement. Now, let's be honest, in a month or two's time, you might even be kind of putting those actions into place, and you might log back into your abacus, and let's just say that all of your beads were originally down here. Maybe even one of them just into needs attention. It's funny, I always manage to line beads up in like these perfect lines. Okay, well, anyway, you put your abacus beads in, you've gone away, worked on those actions, you log back into your abacus and you think, oh, those beads are here, but I reckon they could be up here now. Now you can just move them, and that's fine, okay, because that's your current judgment where it is. But if you want to demonstrate your improvement, if you want to demonstrate that movement in the right direction, leave that bead where it is and go back over to this left-hand side, pick up a new bead and drag it further to the right. It might even just be kind of one level improvement. You might have jumped all the way up to here, but when you put that new bead on the abacus, it knows that you've made a new judgment. It's seen that a new bead, it lets you copy everything that you've just entered onto that new bead. So all you do is start working on your new bead here, but look at the old one. It's still showing, but it's faded out. And it's showing your improvement. It's demonstrating your movement in the right direction. Now, that's sometimes really hard to do on paper or in a Word document, but with iAbacus, because it's this visual tool, you can demonstrate that growth and improvement. So an outsider, it's a bit of a harsh term, but somebody else looking at your subject, if you show them the abacus, you're going to show that journey. You're going to show, okay, at one point in time, we were here. This was the evidence for that judgment. Okay, we had a lot of hindering factors, but we've worked on them and we're now at this point. And incidentally, when you go on that new bead, you can just pick up your analysis. You can take out the things that are no longer the barriers, okay, because you've worked on them, you've tackled them. You might even put some of those things that were barriers now as helping factors because they're pushing you in the right direction. And that's why iAbacus is this cyclical approach. It's not kind of a one-off audit. It's not a compliancy tool. It's about saying, where are we according to this criteria and how are we moving forward and have we moved? So that's iAbacus. Hopefully you found that kind of not intense, not overly complicated, something that's just going to streamline your thinking, help you log in and make the best of it. When you do want to log in, okay, let me just show you how to do that. All you'll do is you'll come to this web address, which is iabacus.me. You'll see this form, okay, it's expecting you to log in, but at this point you probably haven't got an account. So all you need to do is click create an account. You'll put your details in here and then you'll put your license code in here. Now, hopefully Michelle's got your license code. She might be typing on the screen. I'm going to end the session there if I can see the right option, and we'll be able to answer any questions that might be coming through on the chat.